Oi, oi, it's your boy, Slacky J. And I thought we'd take today to talk about something cool because nothing cool is happening in the fight world at the moment. Mansour Barnaoui versus Shamil Zavarov. If you don't know who Mansour Barnaoui is, listen to my podcast. I talk about him every week. If you don't know who Shamil Zavarov is, that's fine. He's from Khabib's team and he's very, very talented. And this is a really interesting fight because it's someone beating Father's plan in a way that most people will not attempt. And we're already into it. There, that is crucially important. Let's rewind a bit, see if we can spot. Firstly, Barnaoui, massive tall dude, terrible at jabbing people. He's going to try, but terrible at jabbing people, terrible at using his length in the traditional way, very good at using his height to knee people and then clinch up and elbow them. Like so. But that does get him taken down a lot. So the thing is, Mansour Barnaoui is probably the only person in MMA. Well, you know, there's Charles Oliveira and a couple of others, but one of the few people using his guard well, and one of the few people sweeping from his guard. Now, I'm not going to lie, being incredibly tall for the weight class probably helps, but you know, so does having ridiculous cardio. So does having any other physical attribute. Let's have a look at this. This is a sweep with a million names. The Giggler, as I learned it after Sean Roberts did it to Rodolfo Vieira. The knee lever is the boring Danaher style name for it. The John Wayne, the tilt sweep, the twist sweep. But the important thing is, it's one of the best moves in jiu-jitsu, in my opinion. And I'm not lying when I say I do this almost every day. It's the one that you can hit on, brand new trial people to show them the magical power of jiu-jitsu. And it's the one that you can hit on people who are better than you by waiting and tricking them into it. So Barnaoui's in his half guard. That's the important point. Gets taken down into half guard. Whoops, frame tear. So, half guard. His bottom leg, his right leg, is under here. It's draped over the calf of Zavarov's right leg. Let's see how slowly we can go forward with this. Right, watch Zavarov's right arm, that one that he's just gripped. This arm here is a big part of the battle in half guard, because if Mansour Barnaoui or anyone gets the underhook here, he can start trying to build up. And that's the standard get-up that everyone needs to know in MMA. But if he grips this wrist here, or he'll do it with an overhook later, this hand can no longer post. So if he can generate some kind of force in this direction and trap this leg, the leg that's underneath Zavarov on this side, he can tilt him off balance. And if this arm here doesn't get free, he'll fall over and it'll look hilarious. Let's go. Right. So the right foot hits the mat. Boom. We'll get a better angle of this later. But this knee is coming up underneath his taint. To do it with the knee so far in between the legs is quite impressive. You can do it, but it's a lot better from sort of a three-quarter guard or something like that, where the knee is in front of the hip here. But he's launched him, and a lot of the time, Barnaoui's right hand will go to this hip or under this armpit, and he'll just bench press them with one arm once he's got them off balance. As you can see, Zavarov's back foot is up in the air. This leg here needs to, well, it can't base because Barnaoui's left foot is right next to it on the floor. And this arm, obviously, is trapped. Gorgeous. And Barnaoui gets on top and starts working a front headlock. And it's because he can do that, Barnaoui can be really aggressive on the feet and in the clinch, which is not something that people can do against Khabib's crew. Is there a random dot on the screen? Bear with me. But another takedown for Zavarov there. And this is the really interesting part. Watch what Barnaoui is doing. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Oops, a little bit more. So this here is the thing that you see in every fight in every UFC card ever now. Because if Barnaoui starts getting up on this elbow, Zavarov will reach through, grab the Dagestani handcuff and fold him down on it. If Barnaoui is able to get up to his knees somehow, Zavarov will jump on his back and choke him, as Umar Nurmagomedov does all the time. So the problem is, like, because building up against the fence is so powerful, even against really good players, even against Khabib, Islam Makhachev, if they take you down along the fence, this guy eventually gets up or gets submitted. But most of the time, by the end of the round, they get up once. But it's a whole round of being then, fighting up and getting dunked back down onto the mat because they can't get off the fence afterwards. It's really powerful for getting you up. It's really not helpful for getting you off the fence. So what Barnaoui does here, he's got some fingers in the fence here, but you can do it without fingers in the fence. He's going to do it with his legs and with his palms. He's going to turn himself off the fence. Now, this is such an old idea that Ken Shamrock did it against Tito Ortiz in their first fight, because Tito Ortiz was taking everyone down, pushing them up towards the fence, putting their head towards the fence, and Tito's here, and he just mashed them because you can't really angle out and do arm bars and things from there. But then obviously he fought like Chuck Liddell and people who could use the fence to get up, which was an evolution in the sport. Now, Barnaoui's saying, no, I don't want to get up. I want to sweep you. And, I'll get up in the process, but I need space around me to move. So the ref says, stop grabbing it, but then he puts his foot in it, keeps turning, and you'll notice he's already got their hand in the hip. He's already trying to control Zavarov's right hand. And he's going to go for an overhook this time. Hand in the hip, gets the overhook, pushes into Zavarov, pushes his head offline to get Zavarov pushing back into him. And there, straight over. I think the main difference that we need to note in this one is that Barnaoui has, instead of holding the wrist this time, he's wrapped his arm over Zavarov's arm, I believe, though I could be wrong. Oh, well, we won't find out because of frame tear. Yeah, wrapped it over, and then he gets on top. Like I said, the coolest technique in jiu-jitsu, and this is a really nice, this here, let's slow that way down and anticipate frame tear. So when you get the seatbelt on someone in the turtle, which is one arm over the shoulder and one arm under, so instead of, where's my pen? There we go. So he's got this arm under this side and this arm over here, and they're meeting up in the middle here. And that's a seatbelt. When he runs around to the back, that'll look familiar. But the problem is that, oops, how do I clear that? Zavarov's left arm here can come out and come here and block Barnaoui from coming around. So Barnaoui basically jumps it and climbs the fence to get over this arm. And then he ends up in a very interesting position. Speed up a little bit. Where he's not quite on the back, and Zavarov's going to try and pull him back down in front of him. But by holding that wrist, as he falls off, he can threaten to kick. If this leg gets free, he's in a triangle. Because he's hopping over that arm. Oh, no, he's over one arm already. He's going to hop underneath it. But this across the back grip is really helpful for setting up triangles. Because if... Let's go back a little bit. In this instance, Barnaoui's leg is over this arm. So he wants to kick... so he's got this... He wants this arm in. So he's got to kick his leg through here. In most instances, you'll be doing this from closed guard with that left leg over here. Oops. Left leg wrapped around here. And then you'll be wanting to kick over the arm to get the triangle. But the important point is that you're getting one arm out. One arm in, one arm out. Yeah, one arm in, one arm out. That's the rule of the triangle. So he kicks it through, lets go of the arm, and starts attacking a triangle. I believe elbows are illegal in this fight, which kind of sucks for both of them, because this is where you would be elbowing like crazy if you're Barnaoui. And of course, on top, Zavarov would love to be able to throw elbows. This is the semi-final of $1 million tournament, by the way, which is part of why Mansour Barnaoui stopped developing as a fighter, because he took a few years off, and then he came back, and it's kind of hard to be as good a fighter or keep improving when you're like, I've got enough money in the bank. That's not my argument to pay fighters less. That's my argument to just be smarter if you win a load of money. Right here is the really important point. Mansour Barnaoui does not like playing closed guard for the most part. He likes playing half guard. But to typically transition yourself from closed guard to half guard, you want to shrimp out, that move that you do every day in the gym but don't actually use in real life. You want to shrimp your hips out that way and put this knee in front here in like a scissor sweep so that the right foot can sneak between the legs. But every time that Barnaoui tries to shrimp out, this elbow is going to stay tight so that this knee cannot come in front of his body. Makes sense? Let's play the film. Tries to move away. Zavarov's keeping that right elbow real tight. Look, he can't get his knee inside. But he does still get his right foot up in front of the body and then place it through there into a half guard. And he's already got wrist control. That's the great thing about coming from closed guard and transitioning yourself. This guy wants to get into half guard. As long as you keep that wrist, you are already in position to start threatening that sweep. But instead, he's threatening to come up. Now, this is really interesting. Zavarov starts doing things like he keeps putting his weight back instead of driving it in because he doesn't want to get swept. And he keeps digging this arm under the leg to that helps put his weight back. But it also helps stop Barnaoui from getting the underhook. Because Barnaoui's a classical half-guard game with the underhook is good too. If you watch good fighters using the giggler and the knee lever, whatever you want to call it, they off-balance this dude. This dude normally frees his arm and posts it. Oops, let's do a hand. There we go. Little webbed hand. And that means you can shoot the underhook under there. If you watch Barnaoui, he fought Islam Makhachev, and he lost on points, mostly due to a point deduction for fouling. But in that fight, he basically out-grapples Islam Makhachev from the bottom. It's crazy. Now, Makhachev's got a lot better since then. I'm not saying the same shit would work. And Mansour Barnaoui has come back after a few years off, and he's in Bellator. He's having exciting grappling matches, but he's losing to worse grapplers than Islam Makhachev because he hasn't really developed as fast as... if you watch Makhachev 5 years ago and Makhachev now, obviously massive difference. With Barnaoui, it's not as stark, but he's still got some weird looks. But against Makhachev, he doesn't hit the giggler. He doesn't sweep him with the giggler at any point, but he does use the giggler to get the underhook, and then he just comes up on singles. And it works really well. And I think he did the same thing to Kevin Lee, who he has a submission win over. Anyway, let's get back to the match. This is a really tricky little thing. So, Zavarov hides his arm and tries to stay low without putting his weight in. Very very tricky to sweep him all the way over when he's all the way back here now. Barnaoui has wrapped the head here. He's probably not guillotining him, but he does something clever. He uses that to trap this guy to trap Zavarov underneath his armpit, switches his arms over and punches his right arm through to start threatening a ninja choke from a position where I don't think I've seen anyone else threaten a ninja choke. I don't know how legit it is because the round ends, but it is annoying. Let's go round 2. That in the writing trade is called foreshadowing. That's the fun part about Barnaoui. He tries to use his reach and then he says, actually, it's more fun to jump in and clinch and knee you and throw bad kicks. You'll notice Zavarov, a lot of his shots are the classic father's plan, head on the outside so that you don't get kneed as you shoot. Are we just doing timid stand-up for a while? I might fast forward it a little bit. 2 times speed, the only way to watch heavyweight action or women's fights. There we go, head outside single, as we talked about. That is father's plan, standard. I know father's plan might refer to father's plan for Khabib, but the standard game plan from Khabib team, head outside single, because his head is on the outside here. It's not in the middle, where he would get kneed coming in possibly, or uppercutted. Terrible telestrata Slacky. Runs the pipe, switches off to the double. Barnaoui is saying, I might try and choke you. I think he might do it again here. He might pass the ninja choke through. But again, look where he is in the cage. We're always talking about ringcraft and how where you are in the cage is as important as what you're doing. He can't giggler him here. He can't sweep him because there's a bloody great cage in the way. And, I'm trying to think of some good matches that this happened in, but people have done big throws, hit the cage and landed on the bottom, and having spent the big energy from doing the throw. Never good. Always know where you are. So Barnaoui starts. turning himself off the cage. And Zavarov's aware of this. He keeps walking his hips into him, digging that underhook on the leg, trying to walk him back towards the fence there. Oh, we're threatening the ninja choke again, as long as he can get him in the armpit. There we go. That's the hard part, getting him under your arm. Starts opening up with punches. And this is the stuff that matters. Like, it's okay if the guy punches you, if he's creating movement. Because this is a sweep that requires the opponent to put his weight into you. If he just sits flat still, you aren't going to sweep him. So I think on this one is a good example. Barnaoui like pushes his head across the center line, and then Zavarov pushes back in. Watch where he pushes his head. He pushes his head across his body. And Zavarov puts it back in the armpit, and there you go. Did the same thing twice in a row. Pushes his head, drops him into the hole, and the knee lever. Beautiful. And he comes up on the front headlock again, because every time you do it, the other guy's going to try and wrestle up. Which, if you're 6'2" or whatever as a lightweight, you can knee him in the head as well. More fence work. You know, this is where like Zavarov would love to be. Just along the fence with Barnaoui trying to get up and him reaching through and chopping out this arm here. Threatening a switch there, but it's kind of crap. It's not going to work. But instead, Barnaoui goes, no, I'm going flat on my back and I'm moving myself off the cage. And now look, the direction he's going to sweep to is clear. And this is the whole thing. Like, this is just an initiator. It's working extremely well on Zavarov, but it's just a way to start a scramble and start fighting your way up. Now, see, look at this. Zavarov is so worried about this sweep that he's straightened this leg out and he's sitting all the way over here. Now, that is a way to stop the sweep. This is like, you know, if you're worried about your opponent's jab, you can put your right hand on their glove at all times. But you do leave yourself open to be kicked in the body and all sorts of other stuff. It's like, is it worth it? I think we'll see in a minute. He'll do that again. And pushes the head away. Tries to get him to come back in. He's threatening to dig the underhook there too, but Zavarov's underhooking the leg. Oh, there we go. Almost. I think that was a good angle at the knee lever itself. There you go. Look at that. So look at the legs here. So this one here, it's going to hit the mat, his foot, and it's going to lever upwards, or rather, let's say that's there. It's going to lever upwards and over. This foot, let's get rid of that. This foot is going to plant as near the knee as possible to block, I forgot I've got other colours, to block Zavarov from stepping out. That's a really important part that people don't really get a lot of the time. Boom. Do you see where his left foot there? That wasn't a sentence. Do you see where his left foot went there? Boom. See, it's right on the knee. And that prevents this leg from doing anything. Good balancing on the head there by Zavarov. But this is where we're talking about like follow-ups and stuff. You know, Gordon Ryan, it goes missed because top-level grapplers don't get swept by this much. But Gordon Ryan uses this all the time to set things up. If you watch his match with Matthias Deniz, the last shoulder crunch sweep, which he is famous for, his butterfly stuff, he sets it up from a half-guard knee lever, giggler, whatever, that makes Deniz post his arms out, and then he gets the underhook. But if you hit this, really good one, throw this leg over and start attacking the heel hook, or just use it to redirect the guy. If you've seen any of my stuff on Pantoja, his knee reap gets him out of trouble all the time. Anytime he's on the bottom, he throws this over. He's like, I don't care if I get the leg lock. I just want your knee pointing that way. And then I can scramble up to my feet. But Barnaoui doesn't do that here. Back up to regular speed. Zavarov's pushing away, sitting up. See, this is all the stuff like he does it, but you don't really want to be here. There's not a lot you can do because this guy can start coming up. The number one objective playing the top of half guard is that you're sitting on this leg and you're keeping this guy down. Number one objective of bottom half guard is to get the underhook normally and then come up. But if this guy sits all the way back and he isn't engaging you, you can just come up anyway. A lot of the time. Some of the time. A bit generous there. Some of the time. He's got the wrist there, but Zabarov's sitting back and got the near side underhook there. But look, just gets up. And part of that is because Zavarov does that thing with his other leg again, where he straightens the right leg, which isn't in shot now. He's going to straighten it and take his weight off it. And look, it's out there now. He's not sitting on Barnaoui's bottom leg. So Barnaoui can just technical stand up into a front headlock. Gorge. The disparity between Barnaoui's upper body and his lower body is hilarious. Go forward. Just trying to knee him. Oh! I mean, we're talking about grappling, but that's very cool, you have to admit. Gets taken down at the end of the round. Straight back into half guard. Oh, he's floated him again, but didn't quite get it. And again, Zavarov's doing that thing. This is what let Barnaoui stand up last time. This straight leg and like no weight on him. Just putting your head here is not really going to hold down a guy if he's really trying to fight up. There we go. Switch to the body lock, or attempt to switch to the body lock. And one of the really interesting things about Barnaoui, his bottom half guard, is that he doesn't really play the knee shield very much, because that just gets smashed in good MMA. He tends to leave that leg out there. Oops. Doesn't quite work when I don't pause the action. But this leg here, he tends to just leave it on the outside so that the guy comes in. Oh, he's threatening some kind of crap guillotine there. Wasn't that cool ninja choke, I don't think. I was busy looking at the legs. Gets the wrist again, sits into him, sweeps him. Yes, beautiful, mate. And straight onto the front headlock again. And he's sitting on that leg. He doesn't want Zavarov getting up. Look at Zavarov's right foot. End of the round. And that's all the grappling there is to this fight. Round 3 is very short and sweet, and this is what won Barnaoui a lot of attention, the awesome knockout. But to me, it's more the like refusing to engage in the style of grappling that they're expecting. Look at that. Circles away from the underhook. Boom. Just murders him. And Shamil Zavarov is very good. Like, him and his cousin are both part of Habib's team. He's second cousins of Habib, I think. But, like, they were getting to the finals of the M1 Global Tournament. He was coaching his cousin in the second round, and they met in the finals, the two of them, because they're just dominating that scene. But Mansour Barnaoui and the giggler sweep and turning yourself off the fence, all cool stuff and well worth studying. I did a Filthy Casuals guide to it back in the day. I took it down shortly afterwards, but I'm sure you can find it on nefarious Chinese video sharing site Bilibili, which I don't approve of. Wink.